Henry Fielding, born April 22, 1707, Sharpham Park, Somerset, Angdor, died October 8, 1754, Lisbon, Port, British novelist and playwright. Fielding attended Eton College but left early and lost his family's support. In his 25 plays, all written early, he was essentially a satirist of political corruption. Because of his sharp commentary, he was eventually effectively banished from the theater, whereupon he took up the study of law. In 1748, he was appointed a magistrate, in which role he established a new tradition of justice and suppression of crime in London. He probably wrote Shamella, 1741, a burlesque of Samuel Richardson's Pamela that he never claimed. In the entertaining and original Joseph Andrews, 1742, he also parodies Richardson's novel. Tom Jones, 1749, his most popular work, is noted for its great comic gusto, vast gallery of characters, and contrasted scenes of high and low life. The more sober Amelia, 1751, anticipates the Victorian domestic novel. In these works, he helped develop the English novel as a planned, realistic narrative genre, surveying contemporary society. Joseph Andrews, novel by Henry Fielding, published in 1742. It was written as a reaction against Samuel Richardson's novel Pamela, or Virtue Rewarded, 1740. Fielding portrayed Joseph Andrews as the brother of Pamela Andrews, the heroine of Richardson's novel. Described on the title page as written in imitation of the manner of Cervantes, author of Don Quixote, Joseph Andrews begins as a burlesque of Pamela, but the parodic intention of the novel soon becomes secondary, and it develops into a masterpiece of sustained irony and social criticism. At its center is Parson Adams, one of the great comic figures of literature. Joseph and the parson have a series of adventures, in all of which they manage to expose the hypocrisy and affectation of others through their own innocence and guilelessness. Joseph Andrews, the protagonist of Henry Fielding's novel, is a virtuous and resilient young man of humble origins. His character embodies qualities of integrity, courage, loyalty, and innocence. Despite facing numerous challenges and temptations, Joseph remains steadfast in his commitment to his principles and the people he cares about. His journey serves as a vehicle for exploring themes of morality, social justice, and the complexities of human nature. Parson Adams is a well-meaning but eccentric clergyman. He is characterized by his simplicity, naivety, and unwavering commitment to his principles. Despite his intellectual shortcomings and comical tendencies, Parson Adams possesses a kind heart and genuine concern for others. His adventures alongside Joseph Andrews often result in humorous and enlightening situations, showcasing his enduring faith, moral integrity, and steadfast friendship. Fanny Goodwill is portrayed as a virtuous and compassionate young woman. She captures Joseph Andrews's heart with her kindness, beauty, and unwavering moral principles. Fanny's character exemplifies integrity and loyalty as she navigates various challenges alongside Joseph. Despite facing adversity, she remains steadfast in her love and support for Joseph, embodying the novel's themes of virtue and resilience. Lady Booby is a wealthy and lascivious noblewoman who becomes infatuated with Joseph Andrews. She is portrayed as manipulative, selfish, and morally corrupt, using her power and influence to pursue her romantic desires regardless of the consequences. Lady Booby's advances towards Joseph serve as a source of conflict throughout the novel, highlighting themes of class, gender dynamics, and the abuse of authority. Mr. Wilson is a clergyman and a friend of Parson Adams. He is portrayed as intelligent, witty, and possessing a keen sense of humor. Mr. Wilson often provides wise counsel and serves as a source of support for Parson Adams and Joseph Andrews throughout their adventures. Despite his relatively minor role in the novel, Mr. Wilson contributes to the overall comedic and moral tone of the story, adding depth to the ensemble cast of characters. Mrs. Slipslop is the maid of Lady Booby, possessing a sharp tongue and a flirtatious nature. She harbors a strong desire for Joseph Andrews, which leads to jealousy and rivalry with Fanny Goodwill. Mrs. Slipslop is characterized by her manipulative and conniving behavior, often scheming to get what she wants. Despite her attempts to seduce Joseph, she ultimately serves as a comic foil and contributes to the humorous elements of the story. Mr. Booby is portrayed as the deceased husband of Lady Booby and the previous owner of the estate where much of the action in the novel takes place. Although he is deceased before the events of the story, his legacy and the dispute over his estate play significant roles in the plot. Mr. Booby is depicted as a wealthy landowner, but not much detail is provided about his personality or character traits, as he is not a central figure in the narrative. Instead, he serves primarily as a plot device to drive the conflict surrounding Lady Booby's attempts to assert control over the estate and her pursuit of Joseph Andrews. Mr. Towwoose is a minor character in Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding. He is the landlord of an inn where Joseph Andrews and Parson Adams stay during their journey. Towwoose is depicted as a somewhat greedy and opportunistic individual, typical of the innkeepers of the time. He is eager to extract as much profit as possible from his guests and is often portrayed as shrewd and calculating in his dealings with them. While not a central figure in the novel, Mr. Towwoose serves as a representative of the lower-class characters encountered by Joseph and Parson Adams during their travels, adding to the social commentary and satire of the work. Mr. Barnabas is depicted as a wealthy and licentious squire who attempts to seduce Fanny Goodwill, the virtuous love interest of the protagonist Joseph Andrews. He represents the morally corrupt aristocracy of the time, using his status and wealth to exploit others for his own pleasure. Despite his efforts, Mr. Barnabas fails in his attempts to seduce Fanny due to her unwavering virtue and Joseph's protective presence. He serves as a foil to Joseph and Fanny, highlighting the stark contrast between their integrity and his moral depravity. Ultimately, Mr. Barnabas's character reinforces the novel's themes of virtue, morality, and the corrupting influence of social class. Mr. Beau Didapper is a minor character in Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding. He is portrayed as a frivolous and self-absorbed young man who pursues Fanny, Joseph Andrews's sweetheart. Beau Didapper represents the shallow and superficial aspects of upper-class society in the novel. He is depicted as more concerned with appearances and social status than with genuine virtue or moral integrity. Didapper's pursuit of Fanny is driven by his desire for conquest rather than genuine affection, and he serves as a foil to Joseph Andrews, who embodies true moral goodness and integrity. Overall, Beau Didapper serves as a satirical commentary on the superficiality and shallowness of certain members of the upper class in 18th century England. Mr. Peter Pounce in Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding is a lawyer who plays a significant role in the legal affairs surrounding Lady Booby's estate. He is portrayed as a cunning and opportunistic character who manipulates situations to his advantage. Pounce is skilled at exploiting legal loopholes and using his knowledge of the law to benefit himself and his clients. Despite his sharp intellect and legal acumen, he is depicted as morally dubious, prioritizing his own interests over ethical considerations. Pounce's character serves as a satirical representation of lawyers and legal professionals who prioritize financial gain and personal advancement above all else.